Why, hello there! Thank you all for waiting! Now, let's begin!
What's happening, everyone? I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and today I'm here to provide you with my review for a PlayStation Vita title known as Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair. In Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, you wake up upon an island confused trying to figure out where you are and how you got there, along with 12 to 13 other students known as Ultimate. Now, Ultimate is basically a student who's successful in a certain category. For example, you have the Ultimate Gamer, the Ultimate Cook, the ultimate athlete, and so on. So you end up finding out who these groups of people are, basically trying to equate yourself with them, and you find out that everyone is trapped on this tropical island. Then you have this mysterious creature who comes down, and she basically claims that, she's the leader of the group, and it's basically a school for the gifted where they could come and have fun, learn new things, and basically not have to worry about anything else in their life. However, after the prologue has ended, guess who returns? That's right, Monokuma, the evil little teddy bear from the first game. He takes over the place, breaks the magic staff of this other creature, and basically says, you know what, you are now my sister. And he basically makes the rules clear that this is a school of killing, and you want off the island to get your memories back, then you have to follow the simple rules. In order to get home, you have to either 1, kill someone and get away with the murder, or 2, keep solving the murder cases until the very end of the game where there's only a few students left. And that's basically where the story takes place there. I would go a bit further, but then I may be leaving into spoiler details. But let's go ahead and jump into the graphics. As for the graphics, visually the game is really great looking. It's pertaining to the same graphic quality as the first title. However, the only difference here is that unlike the first game where you're in the dark, creepy environment such as a classroom or building, here you're on a tropical island, so you're going to have a lot more colorful scenarios, really lovely backgrounds, and of course when you get to the dark, creepy sections where either there's a storm or solving a murder case and things like that. But the color pattern here is really bright and colorful, even dark and gloomy, which looks really nice for this title. Now, as we get into the gameplay, this is where things become interesting. At the very start of the game, you have a few different options to choose from, such as you could choose to have a much more story-focused game where you don't have to worry about doing much of gameplay-wise, or you have another option where you're evolving the story, and of course, a lot of options with the gameplay, such as building a relationship with some of the characters, and so on. But anyways, in the game, pretty much it's going to be the same concept where you're going to go into a certain area and you're basically looking around your screen for objects to interact with. That's how the story is going to go and play out when you're interacting with objects or people within the game. There is going to be some intermission sections where you get to go and hang out with some of the students, kind of build a bond and learn a little bit more, which is definitely going to help out with the story, especially trying to figure out their backstory. Do they have a dark past? Do they have a bright future? And things like that. And things start to get really interesting once the first murder commences and you have to go around finding clues as to how the person was murdered, who may have murdered the person, and then you end up going into this class trial where it can lead up to 1 to 2 hours just to be there in the class trial. It's not like a game where you could be like, okay, I think this person did it and that's it. Now here you have a whole trial. You have about 12 to 13 other students there with you, so you have to figure out who it is. You have to present the clues, and everyone's arguing with each other. It gets really, really intense. You think you got it, then suddenly it changes to something else. But ultimately, all you're doing is basically trying to survive the island, and if you guess wrong, everyone else gets punishment. So what you're trying to do is to not guess wrong. You're trying to figure out who is the murderer, and you're trying to be the survivor by the end of the game. Now, as for the sound aspect of Danganronpa 2, overall the sound was actually decent. You have a really lovely soundtrack. What I like about the soundtrack is like when the times are peaceful, nothing much is going on, you have soundtrack that fits the mood. However, when there's a dark thing that happens, like a murder or something worse than that, then that's when the soundtrack picks up, and it really fits. I mean, the sound is working perfectly for each of the different scenarios in the game, and of course there is a little bit of voice work in the game, but you're going to be doing a lot of text reading, of course, so every once in a while you may actually have a little bit of dialogue where the characters will actually talk, especially Monokuma in the game, because he's obviously enjoyable to listen to, and everyone's looking forward to who's going to get punished by him. But overall, the voice work was decent, and of course the soundtrack. Now as for the lifespan, here's where things start to slow down. This game doesn't really have a big lifespan because once you beat the game, it's not like if you go back, the murder cases are going to be totally different than what they were when you first played through. It's always going to be exactly the same. It would have been cool and would have provided replay value if the story changed after you go back to replay it once again, but that option is not here. Now there is a slight replay value, but it's not going to be by much, where you actually go and collect these little teddy bears of Monokuma that's scattered throughout the game. I believe there's like 15 or 20 of them, so that is a little bit of replay value, and it's going to lead to a trophy. But other than that, there's not really a big replay value at all for this game. It's pretty much going to be like a one-time playthrough, and then it'll probably be something you come back to months or maybe a year later just to replay once again. As for the innovation, there wasn't really much of an innovation here comparing it to the first title. The only much that's different is a new scenario, new characters, and of course the advance in the whole class trial option in the game. But other than that, this game was actually a decent title. The story was pretty interesting, especially to the points where I'm sitting here with a notepad. I mean, how often are you sitting there with a notepad taking notes, trying to figure out, okay, this person did this, or this person has this kind of history, and I'm sitting here trying to piece together the puzzle before I get to the class trial so I could get my facts straight. But it's a really intense game. It's kind of like the board game Clue, but in a video game format, but a lot more intense. If you like things like that, if you like the whole murder solving cases, then this is a game you're probably going to enjoy. But overall, I give this game a 8 out of 10. If you guys want to see some gameplay, you guys could check the link down below. Anyways, I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion, and always remember guys, Gamerfuzion empowers your gaming.